Tuesday to Beijing for a 3-day visit to meet a range of high-level officials. Sisi's Asian tour includes state visits to Indonesia, Singapore and China to bolster bilateral cooperation in various fields. In his visit to Singapore, the Sisi attended the signature of a memorandum of understanding between the Suez Canal Authority and the Singaporean High Flux Limited for water solutions to build 3 desalination plants in Egypt. On the other hand, a world-class supergiant gas discovery has been made at the Zohr prospect in the deep waters of Egypt. The discovery could hold a potential of 30 trillion cubic feet of lean gas in place, covering an area of about 100 square kilometers. And this and, of course, a lot more, we will be with our guest, Dr. Ibrahim Ghazawi, Professor of International Relations, who will be talking to us about this and even a lot more. Welcome, Dr. Ibrahim. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
It's a great pleasure to have you. Let's start first with the tour. So right after the Moscow visit, there has been an Asian tour. So if you can speak to us a little bit about, the Egyptian foreign policy and how Egypt is moving towards, enhancing and strengthening the relations with other nations.
Well, let me start with the commending the current foreign policy of Egypt, which is taking Egypt back quickly and decisively to its due position and stance as a unique nation amongst other nations in the world. Egypt has been historically such an influential factor of positive changes towards civilization, starting from the Pharaoh's time until very recently. We hope that doing such tours, Egypt is regaining not only part of its historical impact on the region or even internationally, but also Egypt is setting a good parameters for other Arab countries today who are very much in real need to positive attitudes and to try to get out of the tremendous challenges that surround all Arab regions today. What I see in Egypt doing today, whether internally by putting on this huge national projects like Suez Canal and other subsequent projects, and what I see Egypt doing also internationally by this historic visits to places that have never been visited before, like Singapore, is, as I said, it's a new parameters for internal and external relations for the Arab world today. Unfortunately, a lot of Arab countries today are very much involved in a lot of internal problems and huge challenges. And the most colossal mistake for any country in the region today is to surrender to its internal problems. Egypt is a message of hope, although we had such a tremendous problems have been accumulated over tens of years and a lot of problems, a lot of crises. We have 2 consecutive revolutions, a lot of unpositive feelings after 2 consecutive resolutions, and a lot of people probably are not satisfied with what have been achieved so far. Still, Egypt is very strong, has a very positive attitude internally, building big projects and also going internationally in destinations that is very much influential in terms of economy, in terms of politics, in terms of technology, in terms of as a mechanism of a comprehensive life. One of the models is Singapore, other model is China.
Actually, coming to our next question, Dr. Ibrahim, I was going to talk about Singapore in particular. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi started a 3-day visit there, and it's the first of its kind to Singapore, and it coincided with the 50th anniversary of independence of Singapore. What do we have to learn from Singapore?
Well, Singapore is a miracle, I have to say. Yeah. Singapore is such a small country in size, but such a huge country in success. It has a lot of good lessons that not only Egypt, but any other country in the world have to learn from. Singapore 50 years ago was just a small port and little kiosks community. Today, Singapore, the national income for the Singaporean citizen today, over 80,000 US dollars a year. Singapore is on top of the high-tech countries. Singapore is an international hub for international trade. It's, as I said, a miracle, a model of human success. We can learn a lot from them. But the first lesson that we have to learn is there is no impossible in our world. We can do anything if we really are determined, we have good vision of our future, we can do that.
So we can do actually a lot from Singapore and learn
from Singapore. Administration, the administration itself, how did they turn their problems into positive sides of their economy and development, prosperity and stability? They once have the problem of overpopulation and high birth rate. Today they suffer from the opposite.
Worked it out.
Now they are giving some stimulants to couples, to newly married couples, to give more birth babies for the community. We have to learn a lot from them. In terms of Suez Canal, which was very good sign that the president was very much in good vision while going to a country like Singapore by taking the chairman, the head of Suez Canal Authority. It's a message because they have one of the most successful ports in the world, and they have huge movement of trade going 24 hours a day. Yep. So as you said, yes, we have a lot of things to learn from them. But the first lesson is there is no limits for the human capabilities. We can do a lot, no matter how overwhelmed with problems we are. We can do a lot because we already have an endless resources of positive changes. Unfortunately, we didn't do much with that. Now it's time to do it. It's time to rely on other positive humanitarian expertise that have brought back stability, prosperity, and good economy to their countries. Not only Singapore, I would say, but China itself is another station of miracles in the world. While they are the largest population in the world, and they were 50 years ago very much overwhelmed with a lot of economic problems and poverty, and they were very much behind other equivalent nations. Today, China, we talk about the second economy in the world after United States.
Yes, definitely. We spoke, from the experts' perspective around the foreign policy, but let's look at, the normal Egyptian citizens, perspective, who's looking for the series of tours, the economics conference, the international conference that was held here, and how is this progressing into, a clear return of investment on Egypt and the Egyptian citizens?
Actually, from the perspective of normal individuals in Egypt, of course, what is very much important to all of them, all of us indeed, is to see positive changes taking place on the ground. Positive changes is not just having such huge and national projects, but normal people are very much keen to see positive changes in terms of their personal income, their personal life, positive changes in their aspect of life where they suffer from today, which is another huge challenge over the government and also over the presidency. While undertaking such huge projects, we do not have to overlook that a lot of the Egyptians today are very much keen to a little bit relatively quicker feedback, positive feedback economically. A lot of problems we know that we have an education system, we have an healthcare system. So these small things could not be handled in a very normal and classic way, and that's what the president and the government is doing today. They are moving in different parallel lines, and this has to be the movement, because one line will not be only enough, whether mega projects or even small projects, or only the economy, because economy is influential factor, but it's not the only one. So we talk about handling some problematic issues about religious relations. We talk about reshaping our culture and our commitment towards our countries, because this very much influential in the last 10 or probably 20 years. The patriotic feelings of Egyptians, a lot of them, have changed negatively because of the economic problems. People were very much engrossed in their daily life sufferings, and we cannot blame
the hardship.
The hardship for life. Today we need to, clear this away. We have to have such a vision, whether the media, the official circles of the state, social circles.
Well, Doctor, also coming back to the Asian tour and having the president saying that Egypt is determined to preserve the diplomatic and trade relations with those Asian countries. Why was this dimension neglected for quite some time? And then suddenly the comeback.
Well, it's really a good question that has no answer indeed, but narrow vision. Narrow vision. We didn't have
to
yeah,
some
exactly,
of those Asian countries.
exactly, because the Asian tigers countries, they have been there as a very strong symbol of success. And if we as a community, as human community indeed, are not able to learn from positive lessons around us on the globe today, where the globalization and the high technology and everything is available to us in no time, and we were not able to learn from them, that was colossal mistake, I would say, because it was an indication that we were very much looking inside us, under our feet. We didn't look around us. That's why we lost the sensation of the movement of history around us. Other nations were jumping, were leaping very wide steps forward, and we were staying still. And if we are staying still while the world is moving around us, it means simply that we are moving back. That's what happened to Egypt. We have been taken away from the positive movement of our recent history. Today this is a challenge. How to set the vehicle back on the track, internally and internationally.
Yes. If we can jump to an important topic regarding the upcoming parliamentary elections, and this is something that was everybody was looking for. That it's an important change. It is in the process of the political change that is happening in Egypt. How are you seeing this delayed political participation for the parliament and the upcoming parliament, and how much of optimism do you have towards an effective parliament that supports Egypt in the upcoming phase?
Well, first let me start with a few words about the significance of having a healthy parliament. This is what all of us Egyptians have to understand, and we don't have alternatives. The next parliament in Egypt is tasked to have a very huge missions to reframe Egypt again.
After two revolutions.
After two revolutions, it's not only two revolutions, after tens of years of absence of real reforms in Egypt. Not only legislative reforms, but all sorts of reforms together. So this coming parliament will be faced with very strong challenges of accumulated problems that have been there for years and years. That's why I say...
Not only the past 5 years.
Yeah.
It is even before that. It's like a accumulation of decades.
Exactly. The problem also that we need even to change this stagnant and classic vision of parliament in Egypt. This member is a representative to all Egyptians, not to his only constituency. That's not one issue. That's not the only issue. The other issue is this member. This member is tasked to two of the most important things that the parliament internationally must do, which is producing and reviewing existing legislations, which is very important and very critical, to translate practically and positively the constitution articles from one side. The other part of the task is to overlook the performance of the government, the executive power. The legislative power, which is the parliament, is one of its main tasks is to keep an eye on the performance of the government. That has never been done in the last 30 or 40 years, I would say. It means simply that we didn't have genuine parliaments in our recent history. We cannot work like that in the coming parliament for two reasons. One reason is the new constitution that was adopted overwhelmingly by Egyptians in 2014 is giving the parliament very much larger authorities than the previous constitutions did.
Yeah.
And it has cut from the authority of the president and has
And
given
put
to the parliament. It means simply that the parliament would have much larger authorities than they had before. That's one thing. Other thing is we don't have the luxury of having the same style parliament in our coming parliament because Egypt has a lot of dreams and we have a lot of hopes of positive changes.
Well,
and these changes cannot happen if we have the same parliament.
Well, Dr. Ibrahim, coming as Sharif, we move to the parliament issue at the moment. Having said that the next parliament is going to be more powerful and has more authority and is a difficult parliament that needs to have a lot of criteria in its members. As I can see in the past few days, and probably a lot of people have noticed, so many people have gone for the candidacy for the parliamentary elections. Is there some sort of criteria or just anybody can apply and just become a member of parliament? Because as you can see, there, I can't even recall the number of candidates that have actually...
well, so, yeah, okay, I
it's
totally
just like
agree with you.
anybody went in
Yeah,
and decided to become a member of parliament.
Yeah.
Don't we need certain criteria to become a member of a parliament? Or
Well,
is it just haphazard?
yes, in principle we do need some criteria for parliament members.
And will all these
and that's-
candidates, of course, be reviewed?
Of course not.
Because, I mean...
Of course not. But yeah, we have to understand that Egyptians, we will not change overnight. And one of the very tough things about democracy is changing the mentality of the average
Of
people
course,
in the
that's
street.
the most difficult thing.
This is the most difficult thing. Unfortunately, a lot of people, they don't know this fact, which is the reason for the delay in the progress of democracy in Egypt. The reason is not that the law was issued late, or the president didn't want the election to take place, or the government is lazy.
Mm-hmm.
No, the reason was simply we don't have maturity in political powers in Egypt from one
Parties.
side. The other side is the average Egyptian still not decisive enough on the criteria that you just mentioned now. What sort of criteria? Here comes the duty of media, comes the duty of the elite Egyptians. And I think this is one of the most patriotic and significant tasks in the coming weeks before the election take place. Should the selection process in Egypt in our near future be conducted in the same style that it has been conducted before in 2010 or 2006 or 2002 or even before, then we will be losing a lot of our hopes of real changes. This coming election should be done in a dramatically different style, different process of seriousness, process of transparency, process also of being candid to the Egyptians, to tell them that we cannot elect parliament based on the same selection reasons that have been existing for long years, whether stimulants like money or emotional affiliation like religion, because both of them is totally wrong. The parliament is not tasked to get us into paradise.
Yeah, because the question Salma asked was really, spot on. It's about the effectiveness of this person to lead change, to lead reforms like you mentioned. And
we have to be very
change.
selective.
Exactly.
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 So it is not about only in my opinion, because again, there is the freedom and the democracy of the presentation of people's will, but there has to be, the boundaries of the right, fit, representative coordination.
Exactly. That's why I say today that one of the most important steps to be taken in the coming few weeks to pave positively the road for a healthy parliament is to let every Egyptian understand that our duty today is very dangerous, very risky, and it could be an open.
after all, you know,
could take us
yeah.
into a more positive and stable era of our the future that we dream of,
Or the opposite.
Or the opposite. Of course, none of us wants the opposite. None of us wants the opposite, of course.
Ibrahim, would like to thank you very much for joining us. It has been really great to have you on All Day Insights.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We'll be moving now to a short break and returning back with more. Stay with us.